Hello friends, how is it going? It's me, Betty Jean. It is time for my monthly reading wrap up. Get ready with me. I'm gonna chat with you about all of the books that I read in the month of December, my thoughts on them, my general rating. As always, this is as spoiler free as possible. I'm only giving you the general plots and main premise of the book without like spoiling the main plot twists and things like that. So this is just a fun way for me to give you my roundup of all the things I've been reading. I love my book videos. I love books in general. I'm so happy to be back in my book journey, and I love discussing them with you. I always love just chatting with you in the comments about what you're reading, your thoughts on the books that I read, all of that fun stuff. It's just a fun little time, and it's just the perfect combination, books and makeup. I talk about books while doing my makeup, and it's a fun time. Before we get into it, as far as my accessories go, I'm not really wearing jewelry today, but this is a Neff brand beanie. This is just an old wig off of Amazon, and this nail polish is House of Hades from Mooncat. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop in and chat about all 9 books that I read in the month of December. All right, hello. How's it going? I have already done my brows, obviously, aside from brow gel, and I did prime before I did my brows, as always, because I like my primer to have time to sink into the skin. Still using the e.l.f. liquid putty primer. Can't get enough. It's just so good. So I'm gonna do my makeup. We're gonna chat about the 9 books that I read in the month of December. A couple really good ones, and then I read a few things that I really just did not enjoy. This honestly might have been the worst month as far as just like overall opinion on these books. I feel like usually I end up really enjoying most of the books that I read, but there were some books that I definitely could have lived without. And I'm really excited to share them with you. And I'm also excited to hear your opinion if you've read them, because if you love any of the books that I didn't love, then I'm so happy for you, because there's nothing I would have loved more than to also have loved some of these books. But I'm excited to talk about them nonetheless. And like I said, there are some books in this stack here that I really enjoyed. So we're gonna get into it. I may not mention every makeup product that I use because I'm gonna be busy talking about books, but everything, as always, will be listed in the description box if you are curious about what I'm using. I don't think I'm using anything new, actually. I think everything is something that's existent. I'm even using a few throwbacky items, so very excited. So we're gonna dive in. I guess we'll just start with foundation. I'm gonna use my little concoction of choice lately, a Rare Beauty Tinted Moisturizer with some of the Flower Beauty Afterglow Serum mixed in. It really was an odd reading month for me, just because I also feel like I read a lot slower this month, especially at the beginning. I kind of picked up my pace a bit as we got toward the end of the month, but especially in the beginning, just because I was going through a lot of sadness and a lot of hard times. I just couldn't really focus on reading. So at the beginning of the month, I was kind of reading a bit slower, which I think is why I ended up reading much less than usual. I'm usually reading closer to like 10 to 12 books a month. And even though it's 9 books in this stack, it was really more like 8 1/3 because one of them got DNF'd, unfortunately. As in I did not finish it. So yeah, this is definitely the slowest reading month I've had thus far since getting back into reading. But I feel like I have my spark back. I read a book in like a day the other day, another book I read in like 2 days. So I think I'm getting my mojo back. I'm very much feeling inspired to read, and I have so many books that I'm excited to get into for next year. Overall, I think I'm ending the year. It is the 31st right now. It is the last day of the year, and I'm filming it now instead of tomorrow because I know I'm not going to finish a book today. But I'm ending the year on 115 books, and that's with me starting in mid-February, and I'm so proud of myself. My goal for next year is 120, just on average 10 books a month. I think I'll be able to do it, and we'll see how it goes. I'm very much looking forward to it. I mentioned this in a vlog coming up. It won't be up yet by the time this video goes up, but I am putting myself on kind of a book buying ban until at least beginning of April, maybe even a little bit longer. The only exceptions are going to be continuing buying the books in the Throne of Glass series that I'm currently in, and also if I do a book of the month that month, which I think I'm skipping this month because I wasn't really into any of the picks. And I mean, there's some bit like of the add-on books that I'm really into, but I can't use my book of the month credit for an add-on book, which is really frustrating. I actually emailed them. I was like, I don't understand why I can't use one of these books, because the credit applies to it. Like on the app, it applies to it, but I have to pick a book of the month book for it to actually ship. And I'm like, why can't I just pick a different book? I don't understand. If it's like available for me, why can't I do it? So maybe I'll get my way. I'd emailed them, so maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Fingers crossed. If not, then I will just hold off until the next month, and then I'll have 2 credits stacked up to maybe get one of the books I had my eye on, and maybe next month we'll have better picks like for February. But anyways, I'm rambling. All that to say, I'm on a book buying ban until at least early April, just so I can make a big dent in my actual TBR, to be read shelf. And I'm very excited to dive into them. I never want to be the person that has like 100 books left unread. I want to actually read my books, so every so often I'll just put myself on pause so that I can like kind of catch up, because it is really exciting and really fun to buy books, but I want to actually read them too. And speaking of books, let's dive into the first one that I read in December, which was A Cat Cafe Christmas by Cody Gary. I literally couldn't resist. I was very much feeling the Christmas books vibe, and I very much am a cat lady, and it just felt like the most perfect book to read. It was pretty cute. It was kind of a cheese fest, but it was pretty cute. It was also a little bit longer than I feel like it needed to be. But overall, I ended up enjoying it. It's kind of like a dual perspective kind of book, but our main character, our main focus is Kara. She is a veterinarian and she co-owns a cat cafe with her best friend, obviously with the hopes of giving cats their forever home. And her current goal is to expand her cat cafe to also include a low-cost veterinary clinic to help people in need with their pets. But right now it's just a cat cafe. They're kind of struggling, trying to make ends meet. It's a whole thing. Well, enter marketing guru Reese. He works for like a big, powerful marketing firm. And at first, when they first meet each other, they really don't like each other. I don't know if I would go as far as to say enemies to lovers, but it is very much like Grumpy Sunshine. He's kind of, I don't know, kind of gruff, not an animal person. He ends up kind of getting stuck with this kitten. He finds a kitten in his new house that's kind of like stuck like in a wall or something like that. And he ends up needing to basically foster it, because he tries to bring it to the cat cafe for them to take it, but they're like full of cats. So she's like, buddy, you're gonna have to foster this cat. So she helps him through that. They end up deciding to start helping each other. Like, he is giving her major advice on how to pick up business and how to make things work. She is helping him basically discover that he doesn't have to be a grumpy, lonely dude all the time. Obviously, in typical rom-com fashion, things bloom. And overall, it was a very fun story. I liked the cat cafe aspect. I thought it was really cute. I liked watching just how things improve. At the beginning of each chapter, there's like a little snippet of like a description of a cat in the cat cafe, which I thought was absolutely adorable. Overall, it was a pretty fun book. I gave it a solid 4 stars. I had a good time reading it. I do feel like it could have been just a little bit shorter, and sometimes the dialogue was a little extra cheesy, and I feel like maybe it could have been maybe written a little bit better sometimes, but for the most part, I enjoyed the general premise, I enjoyed the characters, and I enjoyed all the cats. The next book I got was A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch. This is the second book that comes after A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. I always say that wrong. But this is the next book in this little series. I think a third book is going to be coming out either later this year or next year sometime. I don't know the date off the top of my head. But this is a companion novel. You don't technically have to read this one after the first one, but I mean, I would recommend it because the events in the first one happened before this one, but this is through a different character's perspective. I don't remember the name of the character in the first book, but this is her friend. It's basically her friend and a demon are having to work together to get some stuff done. Let me start from the beginning. Our main character is Caladia. I believe this one is also dual perspective. I think it's dual perspective between Caladia and Astaroth. He is a very high-level demon. She is a witch, as you would have gathered from the title. Basically, they hate each other. She dealt with a lot of craziness with him at the end of the last book. So the book ends with her absolutely detesting this guy. Like, he is a demon that needs to watch himself around her. They are not friends at all. Well, he's getting punished in his demon land. He gets sent back to Earth without his powers and without any memories. And she ends up being the person there to find him and help him when he's like on the verge of dying via, I believe, another demon. And she kind of takes pity on him since he literally doesn't have his memory. She feels like it's not really fair to fight him when he literally doesn't even know who he is or what is going on. So they end up going on a mission to figure out what's happened with him, what is going on, why did he lose his memories, why are his powers not working, stuff like that. In doing so, they end up forming kind of a good alliance, and then they end up deciding they actually kind of like each other. But there's this whole question of like, is this the real him? Which version of himself is the real self? When he gets all his memories back, is he gonna go back to being a jerk, so to speak? So it was fun, very adventure filled. I enjoyed the banter. I thought the characters were really fun. I think I might have even enjoyed this one more than the first one. I don't know, they were so different because the first book was very like fake dating focused that I read back in last spring. I read that so long ago. And this one was very much more of like a enemies to lovers, kind of forced proximity because they're like kind of stuck together figuring this out. Slow burn. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I feel like I gave this one a pretty solid 4 stars as well. Like, not my most favorite book I've ever read in my entire life, but I did enjoy it. I enjoy this world. I'm looking forward to the 3rd one whenever that comes out. Let me see if I can figure that out actually. I'm right here on the page right now. A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. That sounds fun. It's supposedly going to come out August 13th of 2024, so we'll see. I think this one was supposed to come out a bit earlier and it got delayed, so we'll see what this one ends up being. But overall, it's a fun book. If you're into just like a cheesy kind of witchy rom-com vibe, I would recommend those books. I think they're a good time. Oh, next up, I don't even want to talk about this one. Next up was my DNF'd book. My December book of the month pick was Kingdom of the Sweets. I thought this sounded like a great idea, and I feel like it is a great idea on paper. The execution was horrible in my opinion. It's basically kind of a twisted take on the Nutcracker story, which it's already kind of a twisted tale to begin with, but I guess even more so. A little bit darker, a little bit just more creepy, I guess. I did not end up finishing this one. Like I said, this was my DNF'd book. I did not finish it. I got, I think, about a 1/3 of the way through, and I was really trying to power through and just get it done. But then I just reached a point where I was like, I literally do not care what is going on in this story anymore. And when I start to have that feeling, that's when I know like it just can't be helped. And I haven't DNF'd that many books. I think this entire year, out of all 115 that I read, I think I only DNF'd 5 of them. So I don't do it that often, but every so often I come across a book that I'm just simply not vibing with. And like, why waste my time on bad books? There's so many good books out there, and like, I don't want to waste my time if I'm not enjoying it. Real quick, I actually do have a new product. I'm trying the new e.l.f. camo blushes. I picked this up at Target yesterday. It's in the shade Pinky Promise. These are supposedly similar to the Rare Beauty one, so we are going to test it out. Cute. So I can't give you like the full rundown, especially because I didn't read the entire book. This is such a cute color. Wow. But basically in this version of the Nutcracker, we still have Clara, but she also has a twin sister, Natasha. And the godfather, when they were babies, basically cursed them to be where Clara is good and perfect and lovely, and Natasha is ugly and unlikable and not creative, more of a scientific mind, like basically polar opposites. One is good, one is bad. And then it just turns into a whole thing where they end up going into like the kingdom of the sweets, so to speak. Like, it's following the typical Nutcracker thing, but just with a little bit more of a twist to it. I was not into it at all. It was boring to me. I was not invested. I did not care about these characters. I did not care about what was happening. So yeah, this was a big flop for me. I was really excited too, because amongst all of the like Christmas rom-coms I was reading, I was like, oh cool, let's like add in this like twisted Nutcracker tale to like keep with the holiday vibes, but in a darker sort of way. But it was just not for me. If you picked this up as your book of the month, if you subscribed to book of the month and you liked it, literally I could not be happier for you, because I picked it with the intention of really enjoying it. Like, I did not want to have to DNF my book of the month book. So that sucked, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? This blush is pretty cute. Pretty darn pigmented, if I do say so myself. I feel like it blends out pretty nicely. I do feel like the formula is a bit thicker than the Rare Beauty one, I will say. But so far I'm enjoying it. And I know when I set with powder, it's gonna kind of mute some of this a little bit. But yeah, not bad, not bad. I feel like it blended decently. It didn't pick up weird. So far, so good. I don't know if I'm like head over heels obsessed with it necessarily, but I like it. So yeah, I didn't even end up rating this one. I feel like it's not fair for me to give a rating to a book I did not finish. I imagine if I did push through and actually finish it, it literally probably would have been only like 1 or 2 stars because I was just not into it. Maybe it ends up getting better because like I said, I only got about like a third, maybe halfway through. But I just did not care. I didn't care what happened. I didn't want to know, didn't need to know. So that is where I left that book. However, the next book I read after that was also a book of the month book. This was actually my November pick that I didn't get around to reading in November, and decided, I was like, you know what? Let's read this one. Let's pivot away from Christmas for a minute, because I knew I still had some other Christmas books to read, but I was like, let's pivot. I don't really want to read another Christmas book after that one was such a flop. So let's try my other book of the month that I've neglected to read thus far. And while I truly detested Kingdom of Sweets, I loved This Spells Love by Kate Robb. My apologies, Kate Robb. I loved it so much. It was my favorite book of December. It was cute. It was magical. It was like parallel universe-y, like on a different timeline kind of thing. It was fun. I loved it. 5 stars easily. It was so good. I've already raved about it a couple times in different videos relating to books, and we're gonna rave about it again. So this is a little rom-com. Our main character is Gemma. She has recently gotten dumped by her ex-boyfriend, and she is just going through it. She's basically someone who thought she had her life kind of planned out. Like, she thought she had this perfect guy, and she was just gonna kind of keep coasting along this path forever. Well, he dumps her, and she's just not doing well with it. So her aunt invites her, her sister, and her best friend Dax over to do like a little cleansing ritual to kind of cleanse the ex-boyfriend out of her life, to make it as if he'd never existed. Well, they end up doing the ritual, and it works. Unfortunately, her best friend Dax, she'd met him the exact same night that she met her ex-boyfriend. So yes, it is as if she never dated her ex, but it's also as if she never met her best friend either. So it turns into a super fun situation of, I feel like I need some more blush actually. I'm just gonna pop into my Flower Beauty one in Barrymore. I literally can't get enough of this blush. It doesn't really match the pink that I like put under it, but I'm just gonna do a light hand because I don't want to go crazy with it. I just feel like I need a little bit more blush than what I did. So basically she's trying to rebuild this friendship with Dax that she doesn't have in this timeline. And mind you, it's been like 5 years or something like that since the time that like she'd met her ex and Dax, and now in the present moment. So it's like all this time has passed where all these events in her previous version of life have not happened in this version of life. She has a different job situation. She has different friendships. She just has a different everything. And in a lot of aspects, things are better than they've ever been, especially now that she's rebuilding this relationship with Dax. She's finding that it's turning into more of a romantic connection that she didn't have previously. And really, everything is turning out better than it's ever been. And it's like, okay, awesome, this is great. But then other people in her life, like Dax, like her sister, people like that, like they're not doing as great. Like there's big problems that are happening, especially with Dax, like things that happened in her previous universe that didn't happen in this one is causing like a butterfly effect, a ripple effect of like bad things happening all around. So now it's turning into this thing of like, do I stay here in this reality where I'm happier than ever? Or do I risk losing everything that I now have and reverse this spell to go back to how things were? So it was such a fun book, very much like a kind of like a second chance, friends to lovers, magical. I liked the kind of parallel universe. Even though there's like the spell and stuff, it's not like a witchy book. It's more of just like a silly little cleansing spell. Like it's not like anyone's a witch or anything. Well, I mean, I guess maybe her aunt is, but like on the down low. But it's not like an obvious thing, you know? Overall, it was super cute. I was so engrossed in this whole book. It was so much fun to read. I absolutely loved it. And it was very great for me to have a book of the month that I really, really, really enjoyed after having one that was such a flop, because that really, really sucked. And next we're gonna go into the rest of my Christmas books, and I swear it's just all downhill from here until I stopped with the Christmas books. I have found with Christmassy books, they are either the cutest freaking thing or they are bad. There's like truly not an in-between. It's either the cute, squishy, lovely thing or it's horrible and painfully awkward to read. So let's just get started, shall we? Next I read A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This is like a 2-author type situation. This book deals with, it's again a dual perspective kind of thing. I'm gonna use the Heather Austin Unearthly Resurgence for my highlighter. I'm gonna use the light one here. So our 2 characters that we're kind of going back and forth between are B. Hobbs and what is his name? Nolan Shaw. He is basically an ex-boy band member who is trying to kind of make a better name for himself. He like had kind of a rough go at it at one point in his life, and he's trying to like make a better name for himself. B is a sex worker. She like does, I think they call it closed doors, which is like OnlyFans, and she like does actual porn movies and stuff like that. And she's always wanted to be like an actual actress, like not just in the sex field. And basically one thing turns to another. The guy that actually runs the like pornography film company that she works for, that name is under an alias, but his real self started working for the Hope Channel, which is basically like the Hallmark Channel, making like cheesy Christmas movies. And Nolan is starring in it, and his co-star ends up having an accident and not being able to be in it. So B gets wrangled into being in this movie, obviously under the guise of like, do not tell people the truth about like what you actually do for a living, because they're not going to go for that. She has like a different name for her sex work. So she's on this film. Well, I mean, and this is the part I really didn't like about the book. She was always a big fan of the boy band that Nolan was from, like growing up. Like she had posters on her walls, all that stuff. And then he is actually subscribed to her closed door account. So like when they meet in person, like they know who each other are, but they don't know that each other knows at first. I mean, I'm sure he knows because he was like famous, but she doesn't know that he knows and like actively subscribes to her like account and stuff like that. Obviously, one thing leads to another. They end up forming a relationship, yada, yada, yada. It's supposed to be kept very secretive. There's just lots of lies and miscommunication going on. And I also just felt like the relationships were very, I don't know, not believable to me. They were very like parasocial based. Like they really don't know anything about each other, but then they're like so obsessed with each other. It just felt so just icky. I don't really know how better to put it. It just was not my favorite thing. I didn't really love the relationship. The plot was very minimal. This was a very spicy book. Like the spicy scenes were the prominent part of the book. I feel like there was so much of it, and I'm not anti smutty scene by any means. Like I enjoy it in my books to have that connection and stuff like that. But there is a point sometimes where it's like too much, where it gets boring. Like I reached a point where like I would reach another sex scene and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna skip through to the next chapter because I don't really care anymore. I'm just like, I get it, you guys want to sleep together. Thank you for sharing. Can we get like back to the actual plot? Because like the main plot wasn't even really much of a plot. It was basically just like, can we get this movie going without anybody figuring it out? And then if and when people do figure it out, because you know that's inevitable that people are gonna figure out the truth, how is the public gonna take it? Stuff like that. It was a pretty lackluster book. I gave it a solid 3 stars. Honestly, I think I'm gonna amend that. I'm gonna give it like 2.75, because there's some books I give a 3-star to that I still enjoyed. It just wasn't my favorite. This one, I don't even know how much I really enjoyed it. The writing style wasn't bad. I liked the town that this took place in. I thought the set was really cute. It was really Christmassy, but the character connection was so lacking and the plot was just non-existent. It was not my favorite thing. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 2.75. I think that's fair, honestly. Somewhere between a 2.5 and a 2.75. It just truly was not my favorite. And I know they came out with another Christmas book together this year, these 2 authors. Oh, it's on the back actually. A Holly Jolly Ever After. If any of you read that, let me know if that one was better if you've read both. I mean, I wouldn't even be buying it this year. I wouldn't be buying it again until next Christmas season at the soonest, because I don't need to read a Christmas book right now. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in that, unfortunately. I'm gonna set my face and then we'll move on to the eyes. I definitely have a cat hair on my nose. I'm gonna lose my mind. Oh, I got it. There's nothing worse. Like, it can be an inch long cat hair and nothing like tickles and irritates more than that. Okay, moving on to the eyes, I want to just give you the rundown of what I plan on doing. It's really not going to be much. Like I said, I'm using the Evergreen palette from Lethal. I kind of want to keep it simple today. I want to use this shade here, this really pretty purpley shade. I want this in my inner corner for sure. I might tap my face highlighter that I used as my face highlighter over top of my lid because I think this like pinky shift would go really pretty on top of that. But for the most part, I think that's really all I'm gonna do. And then I do want to just do like a little liner with maybe like the little flick or something, but we'll see. For sure, I'm just gonna do like kind of those two colors. I just want that bold like fuchsia purple with the pop of yellow in the inner corner. I think that'll be very, very cute while we talk about the remaining 4 books. Okay, next is my least favorite book. Aside from the one I did not finish, out of the ones that I actually did finish, this was my least favorite book, possibly of the entire year. One Day in December by Josie Silver. I was really, really excited to read this book. I heard it was a great like wintry kind of vibe. First of all, I would not call this a winter vibe. This definitely just takes place at random points throughout the years over a 10-year span. Like it'll be in like March, June, October, December. Like this is not like a winter book. I don't know why it's advertised that way. Like even on the back it says the perfect cold weather rom-com. It's not a cold weather rom-com. Like the first scene is, sure, but beyond that, no. Gonna prime with my milk makeup. Hydro Grip. Well, either way, I was excited to dive into this one. Wanted another just cheesy, easy, Christmassy romance, and that is not what this was for me. So our main character is Lori. I actually think this is also dual perspective. So we have Lori, and then we also have, I don't know his name. It doesn't say it on the back, but there's this guy. I'm just gonna call him this guy. Lori is on a bus in London or somewhere in England. I don't know if it's in London specifically. But she's on the bus. She's about to leave. Like the bus is just at the bus stop about to take off. She looks out the window. She sees this guy sitting at the bus stop. They look at each other. They have this moment. The bus drives away. She never sees him again. She spends the next year obsessing over this guy, trying to find him, figure out who he is because she's in love with him. Literally, they glanced through a window. She's in love with him. She has never been more enamored in her entire life. Her best friend's even in on it, like trying to like help her figure out, like they'll be like at a bar or something. She'll be like, is that busboy? Is that the guy? So a year passes, never finds him. Well, her best friend is having like a Christmas party or some kind of party of sorts. And she introduces her new boyfriend to Lori. Of course, it ends up being busboy. And does Lori do the mature adult thing after the party and say, hey, I'm so happy to have met your boyfriend. Full disclosure, that's the guy I've been searching for the last year that I've been obsessed with. No, she doesn't say anything. She just keeps it to herself. Let's just start the lies off strong. Keeps it all hidden. Because you get his perspective sometimes too at this point. He also knows who she is. And they basically just like year after year have random interactions with each other, trying to navigate being a friend to each other while also trying to navigate not letting the friend know that they ever had a relationship, or not even a relationship, a moment. It was stupid. I really did not like it. I had no chemistry between the characters. I didn't like any of the characters really, except for maybe the best friend. And I just felt bad for her because like her boyfriend and best friend are horrible people for letting years go by without her figuring out that they had a connection this whole time. And again, connection I use loosely. They looked at each other through a freaking window. I can't. And like just the fact that they didn't say anything. Like why would you not say anything right from the get-go? Even admitting that like, oh hey, your boyfriend is the guy that I saw on the bus that one time. Happy for you. Like that doesn't mean that they're gonna get together. They literally looked at each other a year prior. You could have told your friend. I think she would have understood. And either she would have been like, oh, well, that's awkward. Well, I'm really into him. We've been dating for a few months. Or she'd have been like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to be a part of this, and would have ended it. Like, anything would have been better than lying and pretending like you were just going to act like nothing happened. It was just not my favorite. It was not a good story. It was not a good romance blossoming kind of thing. Like, I don't even know what trope to give it because it wasn't really second chance. I mean, maybe forbidden But not even that, because it doesn't have to be forbidden. You guys just chose to lie about it. I don't know. If you liked this book, because I know some people really, really liked this book. Like, I've heard people give it a full 5 stars and everything. I'm so happy for you if you liked it. I really, really am. I just thought it was so stupid, and I thought the chemistry was so bad, and I thought the companionship was so unbelievable. It was just not my favorite thing. Oh man, this brush I think had other shadow on it. Oh, whoops. I thought this brush was clean. Silly me. I guess I'll just add some of it to the other eye before I grab an actual clean brush to buff out the edges. So yeah, I ended up giving it a solid 2 stars. I only didn't rate it lower just because even though I didn't like the story and I didn't like the characters and I didn't like the love connection, I did still feel very intrigued by what was going to happen next. Even though I wasn't enjoying it, I still wanted to know how it was going to end. I still wanted to know what was going to happen, even though I didn't like it. So because I was still like at least intrigued enough to keep at it, that is why I didn't rate it lower, and that's why I didn't end up DNFing it, because I wasn't like so bored with it like I get with some books that I don't finish. I wasn't bored, I was just mad. It was just not my favorite book. It was not good. And I apologize if you love it. We all have different opinions. I really hope you did, honestly, because I surely did not. And usually I don't do this to myself. Usually I won't buy multiple books from like a series or an author unless I've at least read one of them first. I want to make sure I vibe with it, want to make sure I'm enjoying it before I just go out and buy a bunch of them to potentially not like. Well, I made that mistake with Josie Silver because I bought 2 books at the same time from her that I was really excited about. This is her newest one from I think this year, A Winter in New York. So when I got finished with One Day in December, this was my final Christmas book I had, and I really wasn't excited to read it, but I was like, you know what? One bad book does not mean I'm not going to like every book from the same author. Like, it could have just been a one-off. Like, maybe it was just that particular story, because the writing style wasn't horrible. It just wasn't my favorite thing. I'm gonna take my highlighter, by the way, because I do feel like I want to glow this eyeball situation up. I don't even know what's happening with this look. I mean, I don't dislike it. I just don't know what's happening with it. But either way, I was like, okay, last Christmas book, not looking forward to it. The One Day in December and honestly Merry Little Meet Cute have kind of like put me in a not Christmas book mood at this point. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna read the final one and maybe it'll be better. Was it better than One Day in December? Yes, I will start by saying that. Was it much better? No. I feel like one thing that Josie Silver must do with her writing is really get fueled on lies, which I don't like. There are so many things in both that book and this book that I'm about to talk about that could have easily been avoided had we just communicated and told the truth. So this book, we have Iris. She is moving from like London to New York City. Her mom has passed away recently, and her mom had some memories and stories there that she always liked to share. So she wants to be a part of that and feel this connection and get close to her mom again. Her mom always talked also about this like secret gelato recipe that she had and she'd ended up passing down to her. That's gonna matter for later. This whole book's about gelato, and only vanilla gelato at that. But basically, her and her friend in New York are walking around Little Italy, and she catches her eye on this little like gelato place. She notices this door and she recognizes it from one of the pictures that her mom posted. And she's like, this can't possibly be the gelato place she used to talk about, 'cause she always assumed it had to have been like in Italy that she had this like rendezvous, like fancy gelato experience, if you will. But no, it ends up being this little local shop in Little Italy in New York. So she goes in the shop, she starts talking to the guy that's working there currently. His name is Gio. Him and his family have been running this shop for generations. Only one person at a time ever knows the secret gelato recipe. By the way, this ends up being the place where the recipe's from. I don't know if that was clear. I love this pop of yellow. This is so cute. But the current family member who knows the recipe and has not passed it down yet to anyone, which is so silly to me. Like, why is it not like locked away in a vault somewhere? Like anyone can die at any time. Like why have we only let one person at a time know this? I don't know. But he's in the hospital right now and he's having memory issues. Like he's fine, but his memory is just not great. So they're all kind of like, we don't have any gelato right now. I don't know what we're gonna do. And she has the recipe, but she doesn't want to tell them because she doesn't want them to know that she knows, or just the fact that anyone outside of the family knows. Because basically the uncle or whatever that knows the recipe that doesn't have the memory told her mom, because they had like a little flirtation over like, I swear the span of like a weekend. Like it wasn't even a long time, way back in the day. And he gave it to her because he trusted her or whatever. So it's just a whole thing. And it's just like, really, bottom line, like just be upfront. Be like, I'm so sorry this is happening, but here's the truth. Like just say the truth. Like, yeah, maybe the family would be mad that he told someone a long time ago, but wouldn't they be happier that they just like had the recipe now? I don't know. And none of this is spoilers because this is basically all on the back of the book. It's just such a bad story of miscommunication. Obviously throughout all of this, it's a romance book. So her and Gio are forming this connection, which again, I did not vibe with them as a couple in the slightest. Like I did not get any romantic chemistry from them, like at all. It wasn't doing it for me. So yeah, that was just kind of like an extra thing. Oh, also, she lied again. This happens at like the very beginning of the book, like in the first like couple pages. But she's at this bookstore and she runs into this guy at the bookstore who is grabbing for the same book that she went there for. And then she gets all pissed at him because it's Valentine's Day and she just wanted to like sulk alone because she's alone and she just wanted to read her book. Well, he comments something about her being married because she's wearing her mom's wedding ring. And then she says that she's a widow. She says that she has a dead husband. She doesn't have a dead husband. Why would you say that? And then when like later down the road, because this is the same guy, this was Gio, but like back in the past before she knew it was Gio. When they meet up again later, she's still going under the lie that she has a dead husband. Why would you lie about that? Meanwhile, he is actually a widower. He has a dead wife and a child. The lies that could have been avoided. I'm so sorry, but I did not like this either. I did like it better than One Day in December, which I gave 2 stars. I would give this 2.25 stars. It was not much better. At least it wasn't an insta-love through a window of a bus. But Winter in New York was not much better. Just so many pointless lies. I was just struggling to get through it by the end of it, honestly. I was starting to get to the point where I didn't care, but I did still want to know how they were going to tie it all together just because the lies were so much. I feel heated talking about both of those books. I can't believe how mad both of them made me. And I'm not really that critical, I don't think. I need to do my liner. Like I've gotten it mixed up and everything. I don't feel like I'm that critical of a person when it comes to like consuming any form of media, like TV shows, movies. Like I'm not going into it with the intention of nitpicking at it. You know what I mean? Like I want to like it. If I'm choosing to spend my time enjoying a form of media, I want to actually enjoy it. But those two I did not like, and that is a reminder to myself not to buy multiple books from the same author unless you've already read one and enjoyed it. And again, one bad book does not make an author bad, but that's 2 for 2 that I did not enjoy at all. Especially just the lying. I hate the lying. I hate lying so much. It drives me nuts, especially when it's stuff like this that could have so easily been avoided. It was driving me crazy. Okay, let's talk about a great book now. I am moving on in the Throne of Glass series. I read Assassin's Blade last month, which is like the prequel novellas to the actual series. And now I'm officially starting the series with Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I'm so excited to be in this world. I'm so excited to just have another world of hers to go into because I love the ACOTAR series and I'm so excited to be diving into this one. I'm going to be starting Crown of Midnight, the second one, very soon. Basically, this is a story about an assassin, Selena. She starts this book off getting captured and she's basically enslaved, and then she ends up getting recruited to be in this competition where if she wins this like competition, she gets to like be the direct assassin to this king. And then once she fulfills her like 4-year contract or something, she gets to be free. It's like a whole thing. Lots of politics involved. She obviously ends up agreeing. She's like, well, I'd rather at least have a shot at being free again than being stuck here working in the mines. So that's what she does. She travels afar, goes to be in this competition. People are dying left and right. It's a whole thing. In this castle, there's just something mysterious happening. Like I said, people are dying. There's just so much more to it than just this competition that's being hosted here. So she's just here to try to win and also figure out the mystery that unfolds. I don't really want to say too much because it was really fun to kind of go through, and it's different with a rom-com. I feel like with a rom-com, you get the kind of, like, you know what you're getting into. With this, I really didn't know what I was getting into. I knew she was an assassin because I read the prequels, which you don't have to read the prequel novellas first. I'm personally really glad I did because this book references things from that, and I loved like knowing what she was referencing, but you don't have to know it. Some people read those novellas later, but I'm personally thrilled that I read them first. And swoop. Cute, okay. But yeah, I'm really happy to be in this world. I gave this a solid 4 stars. People tell me all the time that this is like her worst book because she was like a teenager when she wrote it. And maybe it's because I knew that going into it that it wasn't gonna maybe be my favorite book of all time, but maybe it was like undersold so much that I liked it more than I thought I would because I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun, high-stakes, adventure-filled time. I liked getting to know the characters. I think it's pronounced Cole, but it's spelled like Chol. I could be wrong. These names, it takes me a little while to say them correctly. I like Dorian. I love the little dog Fleetfoot. Fun fact, one of my best friends named her cat Fleetfoot, and now I know what Fleetfoot means. I knew it was a throne of glass thing, but I didn't know like what because I hadn't gotten there yet. You know what? I think that's as even as they're gonna get today. So I'm gonna stop before it gets worse. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was fun. I like the adventure, I like the action. There's like a smidgen of romance, but it's not romance heavy the way ACOTAR is at all, at least so far in the series. And I'm pretty sure like just people tell me that it's just not a romance series at all. But I'm cool with that. I'm excited to read more. There are lots of books in this series and I'm so excited to get started and dive into it. And that's why these books are exempt from my no-buy, because I really do want to immerse myself in this world, because once I finish the Throne of Glass world, I really want to dive into Crescent City. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So let's move on to my final book, shall we? It was Mr. Fixer-Upper by Lucy Score. Just love Lucy Score. I was like, I want to end the year on a high note. I know I'm gonna love a Lucy Score book. I just love her writing. I adore her with my whole heart. I actually, in November, if you saw that video, I'd already read the book that goes after this one. It's called The Christmas Fix. Basically this like Fix-It siblings or whatever it's called duology. It's like the first book is through the brother. It's like the brother story, and then the second book is the sister story. And so you know that like the brother and the girl in this story get together in the second book because they're together in that book. But again, it's a romance. Like, you know they're gonna get together in the end anyways. Like, that's the whole point. They're supposed to be fluffy and lighthearted and romantic, if you will. So I already got snippets of the brother and Paige. Paige is the girl in this book, in the second book. But I was still excited to go backwards and read this one because I didn't realize at the time that I bought Christmas Fix that there was a book before it, or I would have read them in the proper order. But you don't have to, because they're just companions. Like, yes, it takes place after the fact, but it's not like if I read the 4th Throne of Glass book randomly and then went backwards, you know? Like, you can read them separately. But either way, long story short, I was excited to go backwards a little bit and read the story of Ganon and Paige. Basically, Ganon and his sister, Kat, who again, I learned a lot more about in the second book, which I loved kind of seeing her prior to the second book as well, like kind of getting more backstory on her a little bit. But they have a home improvement like reality show where they like go fix people's houses who like have done a lot of good for the community and do something good for them. So that's kind of their whole shtick. Paige is the like field producer for the show. She is like always there trying to you know, make sure all the cogs are running in the machine properly. I feel like this isn't the right shade of yellow that I want, but I don't know if I have a more neon yellow than this. I think this is my most neon yellow, which is just gonna have to be fine. We shall make it work. This is very much a Grumpy Meets Sunshine kind of story. She is bubbly and energetic and gets stuff done. Like she's just always has a more positive outlook. And then Gannon is a lot more like gruff, kind of grumpy. He's not one to be all talkative and personable. He's just kind of there to do his thing and get his job done. Rumors end up spreading that him and Paige are together just because they were caught snoozing on a plane next to each other. And that becomes all the buzz in the media, as if that's the most important thing to talk about. They end up, of course, forming a connection. They have an interest in each other. It ends up blossoming into something bigger. There are some bumps in the road. He's supposedly dating this big celebrity. He denies it's real. She ends up showing up. It's a whole thing. But it was good. Very much, again, like a Grumpy Sunshine, kind of forced proximity just because they work together, and I guess workplace romance mixed in. I really enjoyed it. I like the reality TV kind of aspect with kind of like the behind the scenes of the home improvement and stuff. Overall, it's a fun story. It was fluffy, it was cute. It's what I wanted it to be, and that's exactly how I wanted to end the year. Lucy Score's writing is so fast-paced. Like, she's for sure like one of my favorite romance authors. I will eventually read all of her books. Not until at least April will be the soonest though, because I don't have any more, and I'm on my ban. But that's okay, I have lots to read. I gave that one a solid 4 stars as well. Like, not my top favorite Lucy Score book I've ever read, but I like this world. I thought it was cute. I think I might have even liked this one more than The Christmas Fix, now that I think about it. I really enjoyed Paige. I really liked her story with Gannon. And I mean, I really liked Kat and her story in The Christmas Fix, but I might like this one a little bit more. Or they're about the same. Either way, it was a good time. I want to finish up my makeup though. I just need to throw on my lashes, something on my lips, and I need to like finish getting ready because I'm still in my comfy, my giant like hoodie blanket thing. Need to like get dressed for the day, all that fun stuff, and I'll be back when I'm complete. I think this look came out quite cute, if I do say so myself. I really like just the overall vibe. I love the pop of yellow. I love this fuchsia purpley situation, and I'm glad I added the highlighter on top because I feel like it gave it just such a pretty glow. I'm pretty happy. I ended up using the Worthy Lip Pencil from Rare Beauty with the Most Gloss from the very old Desi X Katie Dose of Colors collection from like a million years ago. Like, it's embarrassing that I still have that, but it doesn't smell bad and it still works good, so I'm gonna keep it forever. Or at least until I run out of it. But this is the final look. I really hope you like it. I really hope you enjoyed me chatting about all the books I read in the month of December. Some very high highs and some very low lows. I don't know if I've had this many books that have made me this mad in the same month before, so what a way to end the year. I'm so looking forward to next year. There's so many books I'm excited to read, and I'm so thrilled that I am like heavily in my reading journey again. It's literally since high school that I've been a big reader, and I'm so happy to be back. I would love to know like what your favorite books of the year were. Are you excited for more books for next year? What are you reading right now? As always, feel free to leave me some recommendations. I'm always adding things to my list of things I would like to read in the future. If you made it to the end of this video, leave some book emojis. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot. And if you're not already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm battybean there as well. And also feel free to subscribe. I'm posting most days over here. You can also join my channel memberships. The link to sign up will be down below. You'll get fun little perks, including a members only video once a month. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.